Enemies at the
Spend
rift!
coin, you must have coin.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Their bodies just come apart. Mommy won't recognize him anymore.
They're almost there!
So much power in one place. Whoa, fantastic.
Enemies at the rift!
Much easier than I anticipated. 5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Who's the boss now?
They're attacking the barricade! They're almost
He's
there!
not the boss anymore. Excuse me, you're the boss of what now?
Enemies at the rift!
I don't think that's...
They're almost there!
They don't seem more intimidating.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Good thing this is
barricade is
just a
under
game,
attack.
right? Generally, that doesn't happen to me.
They're almost there!
The big ones do die hard.
They're attacking the barricade! Enemies at the rift!
Much easier than I anticipated. When you plan, things do work out.
They're almost there!
He's not the boss anymore.
There are enemies in our rift room! Enemies at the rift!
This all still seems very easy.
They're almost there!
They don't seem more intimidating. Perfect. Wait, they got me?
There are enemies in our rift room!
That's not something I would want to do again. Almost forgot how powerful I can be.
Enemies at the rift!
I don't think they'll try that again.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Everything is working perfectly. much power in one place.
They're almost there!
Their bodies just come apart. Five times bigger.
There are
and five
enemies in
times
our
harder.
rift room!
Who's the boss now? Everything is working
Enemies at the
perfectly.
rift!
I don't think they'll try that. Mommy won't recognize him anymore.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Excuse me, you're the boss of what now?
They're almost there!
The big ones do die hard. Almost forgot how powerful I can be.
Enemies at the rift!
That's never part of the plan. Coming back to life is harder in your 50s.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Who's the boss now?
More enemies all the way!
Placing traps is always fun.
Enemies at the rift!
So much
They're almost
power
there.
in one place. This all still seems very easy. Do we agree my health is low?
There are enemies in our rift room!
Mommy won't recognize him.
Enemies at the
Really
rift!
not something you plan for. Now that I'm back, maybe I should try not to die.
There are enemies in our rift room!
5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder. So much power in one. Maybe I should go back to War Mage school. Well, that's not something I would want to do again.
They're almost there!
What? Fantastic. He's not the boss anymore.
There are enemies in our rift room!
They don't seem more intimidating.
Enemies at the rift!
Almost forgot how powerful I can be.
outpost is under attack. They're almost there.
When you plan, things do work out. I don't think they'll try that again. Death is really not something you
There are
plan
enemies
for.
in our rift room.
Dying and quickly coming back to life, I cannot recommend. Much easier than I
Enemies at
anticipated.
the rift.
5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder.
They're almost there.
They don't seem more intimidating.
Enemies
This
at the
all
rift.
still seems very easy. Excuse me, you're the boss of what now? I almost forgot how
There
powerful I
are
can
enemies
be.
in our rift room.
I need more help. I don't think they'll try that again. When you plan, things do work out. So much power in one place.
Enemies at the rift.
I don't think they'll try that again. How can I blame this on Max? Generally, that doesn't happen to me.
There are enemies in our rift room. They're almost there. There are enemies in our rift room.
That's never part of the plan. Hopefully
Enemies at
none
the
of my
rift.
students saw that. One big puzzle of death.
There are enemies in our rift room.
I'm going to need some healing. Soon, when you plan, things do work out.
They're almost there.
Their bodies just come apart.
Enemies at the rift.
Who's the boss now? Everything is working perfectly.
There are enemies in our rift room.
Fantastic. He's not the boss anymore. I really do not want to do that again. This all
They're
still
almost
seems
there.
very easy. Much easier than I anticipated.
Enemies at the rift!
Excuse me, you almost forgot how powerful I can be.
They're almost there!
Everything is working perfectly. The big ones do die hard.
There are enemies in our rift room!
So much power in one place. A perfect fit.
They're almost there! Enemies at the rift!
This all still seems very easy.
They're almost there!
Fantastic. They don't seem more intimidating.
There are enemies in our rift room!
5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder. Excuse
Enemies
me,
at the
you're the
rift.
boss of what now? When you plan, things do work out.
They're almost there!
Not going to happen. Mommy won't recognize him anymore.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Anticipated.
Enemies at the rift!
What? Fantastic. Who's the boss now? The big ones do die hard.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Only in your dreams.
They're almost there!
He's not the boss anymore.
Enemies at the rift!
Their bodies just come apart.
There are
They
enemies in our
don't seem
rift
more
room!
intimidating. Excuse me, you're the boss of what now?
Enemies at the rift!
This all still seems very easy. Almost forgot how powerful I can be.
They're almost there!
Much easier than I anticipated. Whoa! Fantastic. Good thing
Enemies
this is
at
just
the
a
rift.
game, right? 5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder. Everything is working perfectly.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Mommy won't recognize him anymore. When you plan, things do work out.
Enemies at the rift!
The big ones do die hard. Wait, they got me?
They're almost
That
there!
was much easier when I was much younger. I don't think they'll try that again. That will do nicely. Everything in the right
More
place
enemies
for
on the way!
killing.
There are enemies in our rift room!
He's not. Their bodies just come apart.
Enemies at the rift!
Who's the boss now? Maybe my age has caught up with me.
There are enemies in our rift room!
Dying and quickly coming
They're
back to life.
entering
I
the rift.
cannot. Mommy won't recognize him anymore.
We only have half our
He's not
rift
the
points
boss
remaining!
anymore. Five times bigger and
They're
dies
almost
5
there.
times harder. The big ones do die hard.
Enemies at the rift!
Excuse me, you're the boss of what now? Almost forgot how powerful I can be.
Hold them back!
Fantastic. They don't seem more intimidating.
There are enemies in our rift room!
He's not the boss anymore.
Enemies at the rift!
Much easier than I anticipated.
More enemies on the way! They're almost there!
The big ones do die hard.
Enemies at the rift!
Blah! Fantastic!
There are enemies in our
bigger
rift
and dies
room!
5 times harder. This all still seems very easy. Who's the boss now?
Enemies at the rift!
Excuse me, you're the boss of what now?
They're almost there!
5 times bigger and dies 5 times harder. Who's the boss now?
Enemies at
Everything
the
is
rift.
working perfectly. Much easier than I anticipated.
There are enemies
The
in
big
our
ones
rift
do
room!
die hard. They don't seem more intimidating.
Enemies at the rift!
He's not the boss anymore. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but it hurts. Now that I'm back, maybe I should try not to duck.
They're almost there!
I don't think they'll try that again.
Enemies at the rift! More enemies on the way!
I cannot be. I might have misjudged something there. That's not something I would want to do again.
There are enemies in our rift room! They're almost there! Enemies at the rift!
Blah! Fantastic! Who's the boss now?
There are enemies in our rift room!
Oh, it is still fun to win.